Peace, y'all. I am ICC representing X-Clan. Today, we are going to look at reproduction games. I'm going to show you how to spot the differences. There's many different ways to spot the differences in repros. If you take a look right here, I have two Jackie Chan games. I know the price has gone up a lot in this game recently, but if you look on the left, if you can see how much gloss that has compared to this one right here, this one that is now on the right is the fake. You can see the label is very glossy. There's still a little like a semi-gloss on this real one over here on the left. Another thing you want to look at is the contrast and the brightness. This one you can see little details like in his chest and you can see it's not too dark. But the one on the right, the reproduction one, his chest and all the shade is very dark. That's another thing you want to look for. Look for irregularities in the color and in the brightness and the contrast. You see even his hair on the right is darker. I mean, I know it's black hair, but that sunspot that he has on the left isn't so prevalent on the right. So there you can see a little bit of a gloss, and on this one you can see a ton of a gloss. That is a dead giveaway. There is some Nintendo games that have more gloss than others, but 90% of the time, you're not going to see it like this Jackie Chan one on the right. That is way too much gloss. The next one we are going to look at here is m.u.s.h.a. The one on the top is the real one. You can see all the details in the fire. I mean, if you look at that, there's a lot of detail in that fire. And then this one down here, it doesn't even look like it's the same fire, to be honest. I mean, it looks like yellow clouds, but all that dark red is gone. You can see here on the right, there's all that detail, and on the left, the colors are pretty good as far as the little robot character and, you know, the silver on the Sega Genesis. All that looks pretty good, but the details, that is a dead giveaway. Look at all those details on this one. It's not even close. You know, I mean, if you see this fake one, look at all them details and then compare that with this. It's not even close. You can tell instantly this one is the fake. Look at it side by side. I mean, this is a very easy way. And here on the back, as you can see, that Reproduction has an Acclaim cartridge. m.u.s.h.a was not made by Acclaim. Should not have an Acclaim cartridge. This is the real one here, made by Sega. Some of the smaller companies didn't make their own carts, they just got them from Sega. Here is a Gameboy Color. This is a repro. You can see the battery on the top right, or here a lack of a battery, but you can see it has like a placeholder for the battery. Nintendo never did that with any game. The batteries were soldered on the board. Here, okay, this is a real game here, this Pokemon. If you look right where the light is shining, that 00, this is the easiest way to tell any Game Boy reproduction. That number right there is actually indented into the sticker. It will not be on any reproduction because you can't scan an indent. An indent needs to be actually, you know, pushed into the sticker. So this one here, obviously there's going to be no numbers. It's not always 00, it might be a 2, 1, or, you know, any variation. I've seen a lot of different numbers on there, but there will always be an indent on the Game Boy games. Okay, so here, 6 boards. As you can see, these are Super Nintendo boards. One of them is fake, the rest are real. To judge a reproduction, ignore the size of the board, because there is many different designs of Super Nintendo boards and Nintendo boards and even, you know, Genesis boards type of thing. But right here, you can see how some of the boards have the batteries, some do not. But the thing that gives it away is if you look close at the ink, the printing on the circuits. All the real ones will say something like SNES dash and then a few numbers and maybe a dash and a few more numbers. That's the Super Nintendo, and it's giving you the actual like numbers So you know, like, this is the ROM right here. On that exact chip right there is the ROM. If it does not say SNES, look for maybe it's saying Japan or Nintendo or something. But it will never have a generic, like right here, SNS-JM-0. That is a real board. But right here, there's the bootleg. It says Sky, made in Taiwan. That's fake. This one here, SNS again. Even on that fake one, he's using a real Nintendo board, and most of it is the same besides that one chip. That one chip is a dead giveaway. You see how all of these always have something else? It says Japan. It's not a generic chip. It's not blank. It doesn't have Sky written on it or some weird company. So here's the back of the boards. There's another way you can tell if it's a repro by looking at the back. Some boards have wires running all over the place. These reproductions that I came across here were actually pretty good. They were pretty good reproductions. They're kind of hard to tell, but if you look close, you can always tell. Let's look a little bit close at a real board right here. You can see it's really clean. There's no marks. There's nothing wrong with it. That's a real board right there. If you look at this board here, you see all those little discoloration spots? That's where someone accidentally touched the solder iron to the board. When you need to desolder the chip, you need to heat it up. Well, he accidentally touched the board. You're supposed to only get the metal and melt the metal so you can get that off there, but he touched the board a tiny little bit, so next to all those little pins is a little tiny burn mark. Look over here at this legit board again. There is not a single burn mark. This is how it's supposed to look. All the chips completely soldered in there, professionally, by a machine, manufactured, legit. This is a legit board. So the next thing you want to look at right here, these are actually Nintendo boards, not Super Nintendo boards like I've been showing you before. So you'll already know which is the real one by looking at it. If it says the ROM number and all that on there, that's the real one. Boom, right there. There's the fake one, Win Bond. That's easy to spot. If it says Win Bond, if it says Sky, if it says something Taiwan, then it's most likely a fake. So again, all the boards right here are real. These are made by Nintendo. If you look at the board, Nintendo is printed on there. The guy who made these reproductions used real circuit boards, but then had to replace the one chip with the game. So here's the reproduction game. It says Nintendo, looks real. If you didn't know any better, you might fall for that one. So yeah, here we're gonna look at the shape of the boards. As you can see, all of these are shaped different, but again, the shape of the board doesn't mean it's a reproduction. There's 3 different boards, 3 different shapes, all real. All the boards right there are real. Just that one chip in the very top left corner is fake. That chip right there has a different ROM on it. That maybe is some really rare game, and maybe they replaced like Bases Loaded or something that you can buy for, a dime a dozen type of thing. So yeah, there is some reproductions and how to look at them, how to tell if they're fake, how to tell if they're reproductions. One other tip is if you are looking at a very expensive game, Google the game, try and find a picture of the circuit board of a known legit copy. Once you do that, if you compare it with the one you got, compare it with that one, it should look the same. There's not many things that are different on these Nintendo games. So I am ICC. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I'll get back to you. I have quite a few reproductions, so I think I'm pretty well versed in this subject. Anyways, peace.